Hello everyone and welcome to another royal reading here at MadWorldTarot. Today of course is VE Day in the UK. It's being celebrated in fine tradition with flyovers and marching bands and all of that good stuff. And of course Prince Louis has afforded great entertainment, and particularly that moment where he sort of mimics his older brother Prince George. George has got to that, obviously he's got a bit self-conscious about his looks now, a little bit vain, and smoothing down his hair, and Prince Louis does the kind of mocking gesture after he sees what George has done. It's very, very funny. It had me laughing. So I think we all needed light relief. I, of course, had the skulking presence of Prince Harry in the background of this whole thing, which I couldn't get out of my head. Well, his influence was a skulking influence over the whole thing, but it was more an energetic influence than an actual physical presence, for which I give thanks, and I'm sure we all give thanks. We're looking today at our friend, the living Nostradamus, or what's his name, Athos Salome or something like that, Brazilian guy. He's back in the Daily Mail. This time he's taking aim at Prince Harry. Last time it was Meghan Markle who was in his sights. He's been inspired by the BBC interview to come out with some predictions about Prince Harry. We're going to look at them with the Mind's Eye Tarot today. Quite a few things that he has spoken about, which we'll pick up going forward. But today's focus, first thing I want to look at, is this comment, a warning basically to Prince Harry that documents will be leaked by a former employee of the Sussexes. And this is later this year. So in the next few months, basically. And these documents will reveal the painful extent to which Meghan has exerted a strong influence over Harry's decisions. I'm quoting, by the way. And often in ways that have conflicted with his own values. These will be compromising records, according to the living Nostradamus, that will be revealed about Meghan Markle and Harry. It's implied that as a result, or inferred as a result, that Harry will end up leaving his home in Montecito and moving somewhere else, not back to the UK, moving somewhere like South Africa or New Zealand. And, well, the obvious conclusion from all of that is whatever is revealed is going to be so distressing to the has-been, so shocking. This is my opinion, of course, that basically it will break them up finally. That's me 2 and 2 and reaching 22. Okay, so we're going to have a look at this influence and what might be about to be revealed according to the living Nostradamus, and what impact this influence has had on Harry. Of course, he's made some catastrophic life choices since he met up with her. Given up everything for her, basically. She's got what she wanted. Has he got what he wanted? Mind's Eye Tarot will hopefully tell us. Celtic Cross, I'm doing it from Meghan's point of view, the influence, what she's been up to. Has there been that level of influence? We're going to ask, basically, is this going to be exposed? How it's conflicted possibly with Harry's values. So we're going to test what this Athos guy is telling us, the living Nostradamus. We're going to test it with a Celtic Cross and ask that if, for instance, this influence, I'm going to call it an undue influence, that's my expression, not his. If this influence is revealed, finally Harry gets it, what we've all been shouting about from the sidelines for the last however many years. If Harry finally wakes up to what's been going on in his world, compromising documents, isn't that interesting? Is this the end of the Sussex romance relationship? So that's what we're looking at today. Of course, it's just tarot, it's for fun and entertainment, it's all my opinion, it's all speculation. I mean, goodness, we're looking at a psychic now and what the psychic has to say. And of course, just energy that I read, and disclaimer in the box below. So there's the Celtic Cross. So we are looking, as I say, from Megan and the influence perspective. And we've got the Ten of Wands. That's the burden card, the very heavy burden. It's in reverse. Life getting heavier and heavier and heavier, and eventually giving up, quitting, leaving, saying, I can't carry these burdens anymore and I'm quitting. Now, it doesn't really feel like Megan's energy, this Ten of Wands, even though we are looking at her influence on Harry. Just rather an odd perspective to do a Celtic Cross. I'm hoping that it works out okay. Burdens that are increasing, I think, for both of them, that this influence becomes intolerable at some extent, at some point, and is basically ended. Tens are endings, and so that's interesting. That's kind of backing up what this psychic, this living Nostradamus, is claiming. So although, you know, I don't think you have to be a psychic to realize that there is influence, and it has been very negative, and it has possibly had a detrimental effect, or a very detrimental effect. Not possibly, it really has had a very detrimental effect on Harry. The only real interesting question here is if it's going to be exposed, if it's going to finally dawn on the dimwit, in my opinion, a dimwit of what's actually been going on. So let's have a look at the heart of the reading. What is the situation? We've got the Queen of Swords, and it's in reverse. This is the influence, the alleged influence. The Queen of Swords is very calculating, very cold, and when it's in reverse like that, can be very dangerous, because she doesn't care who she harms, doing whatever it is she wants to do. She's terribly strategic and terribly, as I say, cold and calculating. And so that does seem very intentional, and because the sword is pointed down, it can be quite clandestine in its effect, in its operation, shall we just say. All, of course, my opinion. Particular problems of this influence, this alleged influence. Well, we've got the Six of Swords. The Six of Swords is the overseas card, and it's in reverse. Of course, it has stopped him from going home. This influence, all this, my life is in danger. If you force me back to the UK, the same thing's going to happen to me as happened to Mummy Diana. All of that kind of stuff. So Six of Swords is going overseas, is leaving, is transitioning, putting your troubles behind you. It's in reverse. The troubles have stayed. Even if they went overseas, which they did, and they left, the troubles stayed with them. They didn't separate from their troubles, and it has prevented Harry literally from going home, from reconciling with his family. So there is the Six of Swords. I think it's a very apt card for describing what this influence has done to Harry, made him go places where he thought he would be free and happy. It hasn't turned out that way, and it has prevented him from going home and reconnecting with his past and his family and whatever. So now I want to know how insidious this influence has been, or is, shall we say, allegedly, for obvious reasons. I've got the Four of Wands, and it's in reverse. It's the happy couple card. They have weddings, ceremonies, celebrations, a happy, strong family unit when it's upright, very stable, and all of that kind of a stuff. There's something in the energy, and I can't quite put my finger on it, about destabilizing home. And I think it's destabilized two things. It's destabilized the royal family and Harry's connection with the royal family, which was his home, was his family. It's broken that up in a very, because it's down in the hidden, the root of this reading, what really causes everything else in this reading. It is insidious. It's that breaking up homes, breaking up families, and that's what she has done. First of all, her own family. She discarded her own family, all of them except Doria and her niece. We saw the niece in the Netflix show. Wasn't invited to the wedding, of course. Spun a tale about how she wasn't allowed to invite her or some silliness. But she did that to her own family, and then she proceeded to do the same to Harry's. So she's alienated him from his home, from his safety, from what provided him stability and support, and all those wonderful things that a home and a family do when they are operating properly. That's your safe place, that's your foundation, that's what gives you stability in your life, your home and your family, and all the celebrations along the way of your life events and all that kind of stuff. It's in reverse. So that's where she dug away and undermined and destabilized. And then, of course, she was his only comfort and his only rock in life. And so, in my opinion, let's make sure that we say that over and over and over in this reading. In my opinion, very undermining and very insidious kind of an energy. So we can see how she kind of isolated him and broke down relationships and bonds and all that kind of stuff. What was the goal of this influence? And wow, same kind of energy. 10 of Pentacles in reverse is to prize him away from the royal family. And that is a royal family card, 10 of Pentacles. As I always say, it's about the bonds and the line of succession and through the generations and all that stuff. And it's in reverse. Really very, very determined to take him away from that. And it's puzzling. You know, I'm actually looking at that card and thinking, why do that? Because that 10 Pentacles is the card of tremendous wealth. Wealth that most of us can't even dream of. We imagine. And she took him away from that, or the goal was to prize him away from that. Obviously thinking that they could make more money in California, which of course they have signally failed to do. But there's the goal, which strikes me now as bonkers, the way things have worked out. But I suppose at the time when she was concocting this cunning plan, was maybe not so foolish, particularly if advisors, people, agents, whatever, had been whispering in her ear and his about how much money they could potentially make in the United States. So, where they were free to merge and monetize everything. So, past effect of this influence on Harry. What has it done to him in the past? The Three of Wands, and it's in reverse. It's the waiting card. The Three of Wands is waiting and being optimistic and hopeful and believing that your life is going to improve and things are going to get better, and you're going to get good things are coming your way. Basically, if you're patient and you wait, good things will come your way. It's a very positive card, but it does require some patience. It does require you to do something positive, an action that then you wait for the outcome of that action, which is generally beneficial when the card is upright. It made him impatient, and it made him negative. It made him not willing to stick around and wait his turn or wait for the outcome of whatever he had done. The fruits, basically. It's about planting seeds, and then at some stage comes the fruit of your actions. Impatient negative, made him negative. It's one of the most optimistic cards in tarot, the Three of Wands, because you're waiting and you're hoping and you're expecting that good things are going to come your way. It's kind of Christmas morning energy or Christmas Eve energy that children have, and it's gone. It's soured. It's don't waste your time with these people. They're never going to give you what you deserve. And so let's go overseas. Let's leave and prosper somewhere else. Is this going to come out this year? We're already in May as I'm doing this reading. So we don't have, we're almost halfway through, which is a very scary thought. So we don't have that long to wait if our living Nostradamus is on the money with this one. So is something, what was the word he used, compromising, going to come out from an ex-staffer that's going to land Megan in it somehow or expose her machinations? Interesting if it does. So what is coming? I've got the Ace of Pentacles, and the Ace of Pentacles is a massive money card. So in this context, it's not being caught out. It's not giving me that kind of energy. All right. So I'm trying to test what this guy's saying with a Celtic cross. What this tells me, if there is something that's going to come out, it's going to be about money and tantalizing offers that he might not have been clued in on, because the Ace of Pentacles is obviously all about the money. It's all about a future direction. Aces are fresh starts. So if something is exposed, and this is a big if, because I'm not seeing an expose kind of an energy in this card. If something is revealed, it's going to be about the lure of the mighty dollar. Come over here rather, and we can make you very wealthy rather than stay over there and do your duty. Harry has banged on in that BBC interview about how his life has been dedicated to service and all he wants to do is his charitable humanitarian works and blah, 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 blah. I don't think so. I think he lies on the carpet playing computer games and smoking things and surfing and whatever. And that's my very it's just, I'm being cynical and silly, but it is genuinely how I feel that he spends his days. I don't really think that he spends his days trying to make the world a better place for all of us. I don't think so, but that's what he likes to think about himself and how he likes to present himself. This is very mercenary as it's reading for me energetically. This is, the money's over here. You need to move over here. You need to follow the money over here and not stay over there with those boring royals standing, all that cutting ribbons and standing in the rain stuff. No point doing that. So that's how it's reading for me. I'm not seeing a huge, big shock horror moment. So tell us, although we've already seen, I think, how Meghan's possible influence, according to this guy, has conflicted with Harry's values, potentially. Let's see. Six of Wands. The Six of Wands is the conquering hero card. It's, you come back from your hero's journey at the triumphal return in the Six of Wands, and there's a parade and marching bands, and you might get some sort of award and all of that, praise and acclaim. So I think they both like that, but they might like it in different ways. So that's how I'm trying to pick my way through this energy. Harry might like it in the sense of he's the most popular royal, or when he goes to Lesotho or wherever else, some sort of very poor country, the people love him and come running out, and he can play soccer with the kids and appear to be caring, and you know how he was before Meghan arrived. He was good with children, seemingly. Some people say not really, but we're not going there today. You know, he would engage with babies and children and stuff like that in a seemingly authentic way. But he enjoyed it. He enjoyed the popularity, enjoyed all of that. Whereas Six of Wands for Meghan, I would say, and this is my opinion, is we're tending into narcissistic territory. I think they both have aspects, and this is my inexpert opinion, I'm not diagnosing. I think they both have narcissistic traits, possibly different manifestations of them. Hers more obvious, his more insidious, his more hidden, and she wants the glory, and she wants them to have the glory in a much more overt way, in your face kind of a way. And that's why we've had all these ridiculous awards and all the self promotion and self congratulation and all this kind of a stuff. So they're quite similar in their energy. It's how they go about it that's different. Harry, of course, English, more reserved, more no, I don't really want to be famous. No, but actually I do, and that's how he's coming across. America, Meghan being more American and more direct in her, I want this, and I deserve it, and so give it to me. Direct versus indirect. That's how it's coming across. Same goal. So it's not that different. Okay. Pressure that it's put Harry under this influence. And we have the Magician. Ooh, and it's in reverse. And it's the old trickster, the Magician in reverse. It's the old PR card in reverse, which means it's kind of sneaky behavior. And I don't mean that he has been guilty of sneaky behavior, but everything looks stage managed, orchestrated. It doesn't ring true. And so we have things like the Living Legends of Aviation Awards and all those kinds of things. It ties in very much with the Six of Wands that I'm talking about, that it's all about the self-promotion and look at us, aren't we marvelous, instead of actually doing the stuff. And so it's put Harry in this position where everything looks contrived, inauthentic. And you know, you can see the strings of the puppet dancing. You can see that he's being manipulated. You can see we're being manipulated. And one of the most interesting things that I often say when I talk about this Harry and Meghan situation is how the whole PR game has been exposed by them. So now we look at all celebrities, and not even celebrities, we look at politicians and everyone, when you think, oh yeah, how much did you pay for that puff piece in whatever magazine or newspaper, or what are you trying to make us believe, or what are you trying to distract us from? We've all become so much more aware of the PR game that everybody plays, that's on the public stage, in my opinion. Thanks to Harry and Meghan, they really have exposed this whole thing. Magician in reverse. A little bit of energy, because we're looking at pressure. A little bit of an energy of he needed to perform beyond his own abilities. Magician is very slick, very controlled, very accomplished. You can't be a magician if you're not good at being a magician, if that makes sense, stating the blindingly obvious. But it's in reverse, meaning that he's not slick, he's not good at this, he's not glib enough, he doesn't have the words, he doesn't have the charisma, he doesn't have the things that he needed to have in order to be a proper magician, in order to manifest all the lovely things that Meghan wanted to manifest. How about hopes and fears in terms of what this influence was trying to accomplish, yeah. We've got the Death card, and the Death card is, of course, endings, and this influence only works if the person is kept under control. And so the fear is that there is going to be a loss of control. And I was a bit shocked when I saw this card, because it ties into my next reading about the king. And of course the king is a Scorpio, and of course that is the death card, major arcana for Scorpio. So the worry for the person who's wielding the influence is that this influence is going to end at some point, or could end at some point, and end in a very negative and a very difficult way. And what very negative and very difficult way could it end? It could end, and I'm sorry to be a bit ghoulish, with the passing of the king, Harry's father, which is precisely the topic of the reading I'm doing next, inspired again by the living Nostradamus. If it's a sensitive topic for you, obviously don't watch that reading, but there it is. It's literally here in the reading. So if things come out that expose Meghan's influence behind the scenes, doing stuff, doing deals, that Ace of Pentacles that Harry was blissfully unaware of. Maybe he didn't realize that, for instance, all these awards have been bought and paid for. Maybe he thought they were all real, and everybody thought he's just brilliant and wonderful, and so here, have this award, not realizing the true nature of the deal making that was going on behind the scenes. That's a possibility with that Ace of Pentacles and that Six of Wands, just one of the possibilities. There are others, that could go back much further than Harry is maybe aware of. Maybe even when they were still in the UK as working royals, those kinds of deals were being set up. For instance, consequences in terms of leaving Montecito, leaving his home in Montecito, which sounds to me, reading between the lines, like a separation or a divorce. Consequences, outcome. And we've got the Hanged Man. That is somebody who is seeing things in a whole different way. The Hanged Man, you dangle there, helpless, stuck in limbo, upside down. And when you're upside down, you see things very differently from the way that you were seeing them before. It's a very uncomfortable energy, because it tells me that he's going to feel like a victim. So he's good at that anyway. He's good at, oh, poor me, everyone's out to get me. Quite literally, he's been telling us that in the past few days. But helpless, pitiful, kind of a wretched creature who is beginning to see that his reality, and what he believed was his reality, was not at all his reality. It was quite an illusion. It's Neptunian energy, the Hanged Man. What you see isn't what you get. When you're in that energy, that Neptunian energy, you can be quite easily persuaded of things that aren't necessarily good. And some of those things can be through substances, very Neptunian energy. It might even be a bit of a detox that is in this energy, just coming through a bit like that, that maybe if he does remove himself, like he did for a while late last year, and there was a lot of speculation that he went through some kind of rehab program. That was speculated, it was never proved. Similar kind of an energy coming through with that card, the Hanged Man. It's not divorce, it's not separation, but it is different perspective, and possibly a bit of a drying out energy in there as well. That's the reading. A strange energy in this reading. Very, very strange energy. It was quite strange to pick my way through it, but hopefully interesting for you nevertheless. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.